God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 53 of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions I have my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Starting out today, and what I am aware of, is right before I begin to share things that were the most difficult parts of my journey, God tends to lead me off and onto another track. I told God this morning, well, we have a couple trains on the tracks already. My journey at 16 years old and the most recent parts of my journey. He told me, we will have 10 trains on that track, as long as it reaches and relates to someone who needs to hear it. God knows I trust him completely and truly. Veering off, I think, gives me more time to process the hardest parts of my journey, so that along with God and my spirit team, I can translate it so that, again, others can relate. God also knows that I'm now flexible. I go with the flow. I trust, I believe, and I receive. People ask me what's my secret to my peace, my happiness, and my joy. It's simple, I say. I trust God completely, so I quit feeling the need to have control over every little thing. I relinquished my control to God. It's only the second time I've ever gave up the tight grip and the need to know what lay ahead. Have everything dissected, laid out, planned out to the minute, the second. I surrendered my survival mode. I shed that trauma, and I learned to. Notice I said learned. Gotta rewire your brain. I've lived in survivor mode ever since I can remember, never even being able to trust myself at times, let alone anyone else to keep my world safe. Always second guessing myself, and I would play 50 scenarios in my head as to how things might or could turn out. I know the anxiety, the panic all too well. That's survival mode, trauma-based responses to even the smallest of things. Learned behavior starting from, in most cases, very early on. I surrendered that first to my husband after my bout with COVID and my stroke. Complete trust for the first time in my life. I knew and trusted that he had my best interest always and would have never done anything to hurt me in any way. It was refreshing to finally have my person, the one person in my life that seen me, he heard me, and he loved me so unconditionally. And finally, another human being who was loyal, which is so rare in my life. Well, then my husband was called home to heaven, so I was left on my own again. Scary. And I was put in situations that are mind-blowing to me now. How did I step out of a safe, secure world, and all at once, I was thrust into a world that I had no clue? I was naive and gullible, not to mention completely traumatized in a whole new way. Something I'd never experienced before. Losing my husband, 2 of my dear friends, and then my brother committed suicide. I didn't even think I was built for that kind of pain, that kind of loss. Didn't know if after every single thing I'd overcome and survived, if I would have it in me to survive, again, the loss of my husband, my 2 dear friends, and then my brother. Well, again, God knew what I was made of, and he wouldn't have taken me down any path if he didn't know I could survive it. He built us strong. He built us resilient and able to overcome anything. Not only overcome, but to survive. So trusting God completely was a process, a healing process, spiritually understanding and surrendering my fears, my pain, and my traumas, and also understanding that everything truly happens for a reason. There's no coincidences, no, not. And even though there's a lot of hard lessons throughout our journeys. And please always remember, redirection is always God's protection. Even though we may not see danger ahead, God sees everything. Well, those lessons are in fact blessings, even though hurtful, painful, earth shattering at times. Some lessons are taught to us in the hardest of ways. But if you're anything like I was strong minded, hyper independent. I was stuck in survival mode. I didn't know my worth nor my value. I was completely codependent, and I was so stuck on fixing others to detour working on myself. So God knew it was going to take some hard lessons to get me to change, to get me to grow, to get me to evolve. Me being in trauma based responses and survival mode was my normal my whole life. And I'm also a creature of habit. Didn't conform easy, didn't accept change easily, definitely wasn't flexible. It was safe being a creature of habit, no joke. So God put me in some situations and gave me a few assignments that, let's just say for now, forced me, pushed me to break down all of my walls, my defenses, my survival skills, and truly trust God. Again, what the devil thought would finish me off, seeing that I seemed defeated after 4 major losses in my life in less than 5 months' time. Well, God orchestrated the plot twist in my life. What God knew that the devil and his undercover agents didn't know was God was using them to not destroy me. No, no way. But to get me to break all illusions and to actually see others for who they truly are. The veil is thin. And again, to trust God completely and trust the gifts He gave me at such a young age, to use my intuition, my foresight, to see past the illusions, see past the fakeness, and others that had only bad intentions for me, no love at all. And like I've said before, those type of people who manipulate, lie, backstab, slander, and they try and deceive truly kind, loving, good people, well, that's just who they are and how they choose to live their life. It has nothing at all to do with you. They treat everyone the exact same way. You're not special. You got treated how everyone before you and how everyone after you will. So many people out here trying to hurt, destroy truly good people. And the funny thing is, these deceptive people truly don't understand. They don't concept that they aren't truly hurting anyone but themselves in the long game. Like I say, I don't play checkers, I play chess. So in the end of that chapter, it's checkmate because those people lost some really good people by playing checkers. My metaphor, anyway. But in the meantime and in between time, God used those people to make you stronger, to make you wiser, and to get you to trust God completely and the gifts He bestowed upon each and every one of us. Wherever you lead, Father, I shall follow, are the first words out of my mouth every single morning. Whatever is for me shall not pass me by. God won't let it. Again, trust, believe, receive. So, yes, my newfound release and trusting God 1,000% has brought me so much joy, happiness, relief, just a sense of calmness that my nervous system desperately needed. And with this peace comes comfort and relaxation like never before. And just happy is the only way to explain it. Healing has changed me in so many ways. It has bettered my quality of living, my life, my outlook on life. It's lowered my stress levels tremendously. It's brought out my inner child. It's safe now. I just trust that God is working good things in my life, moving me to where and who He has wanted me to become. It's all in God's timing. So please take a breath and tell God, I trust you completely. Now, I will say, does things come along, happen to try and shift you, triggering you back to old responses, old ways? Of course. I laugh because the more you heal, the more you realize when God is throwing in a pop quiz on you, just to see, are you really healed? Or does old patterns still trigger you? How do you respond to whatever now versus then? Like I said, being aware of it and realizing it now, it's funny to me. I'm like, not today, Satan. I'm God's daughter. And then I give myself kudos, a pat on the back. I do a happy dance because I know I got an A+ on all of those pop quizzes. I'm tuned in, I'm aware, and I'm aligned. Not even the devil himself can get me off track. God is the driver, the engineer of my train. And while I'm just the caboose towing closely behind God, following wherever He may lead me. Also, I do want to discuss something, and most aren't aware of their actions. And like my dad always taught me, well, you can't change what you're not aware of, right? And yes, I think of ask questions to others that most people don't notice or brush off nor never talk about. I've been that way ever since I got my voice. Well, I've experienced what I'm about to discuss more times than I dare to count. And of course, I've recently asked others around me, and yes, they all agreed. Every single person I asked, too, told me that they'd experienced the exact same thing. So here it goes. Have you ever been out in the restaurant, a store, and you've seen someone that you haven't seen in a long time? And most likely, these are people that you looked up to or that helped you in maybe some small way, or someone that you shared memories with. And by chance, there they are. Being sentimental, my face lights up, and of course, hugs and kisses. And with some, depending on who, again, I'm very sentimental, so I tear up. These people were important to me. They played some kind of role in my life, if even a small part. Well, you're excited and you begin, or should I say, I always begin with, give me a hug. How are you? How's the kids? Parents, if they're still alive, their brothers, their sisters. Being as social as I've always been, most of the time I know their whole families. And have you ever been met with a coldness? Definitely not the same energy you're giving out. And their questions start off with, where are you living now? Where are you working? Who are you dating? Okay, number one, we are not the same. Those are competitive questions, and truly, that's all you have for me after all these years? Are you kidding me? No, how are you? How's your kids, etc. Straight into some make believe competition, in their minds. It's society, right? Okay, let's start with question number one, always. Where are you living? Well, that's just to see if I live in a high class neighborhood. It gives others an idea of what area, how nice my house, or the cost of my home. I have had the really nice home with the in-ground pool, the high status neighborhood. And while me personally, it was one of the worst years of my life. A home, status, neighborhood doesn't bring you happiness nor peace. And I didn't like counting those $100 bills out every month to pay for the neighborhood, the popularity, the status, the house. I learned at 28 years old, yeah, that's the age I was when I had what I call my mini mansion. And I again learned that simple is better for me personally. Never forget who you are and where you come from, is what I was taught by my grandma. So, question number two, where are you working now? Well, that's another way to gauge you based on how much you must make. Your job title, company's name. Again, make believe competition. And number three, who are you dating now? Well, social media kind of keeps us all up to date on that one nowadays. And if we're friends on Facebook, then you already know I'm widowed, not dating anyone. I'm focused on my healing journey and my purpose. I'm focused on helping others. And if ever I may date or be interested in someone, well, I chose to be a public speaker, and whomever and whenever I do begin to date, I will respect and honor their privacy completely. So, what's the reason for these questions? And mind you, these questions are straight out of the gate. It almost feels like an interview just to say hello and be happy to see them. Let me see if you're good enough to speak to, is kind of how it feels. So, yes, it's crazy, loco, what society has came to. No, there's no how are you even before the interview begins. Well, that's disheartening to people like me that are genuinely happy to see you, run into you. And again, I don't believe in coincidences, so divinely guided, orchestrated. These questions truly change the complete energy from so blessed to see you to, oh, okay, that's who you are now, who you have become. Life is one big competition to some, sad but true. I don't like to compete for anything, it's not my nature. But to make a point or teach someone a lesson, I've been known to step into the race a time or two. And yes, most of the time, it's with my sense of humor, just to beat them at their own game. We all have a competitive nature within us, right? And if you're like me, it's a game. Truly, it's a joke. Others, it's their drive, their life, everything they base themselves and their lives on. To me, that's so shallow, but teach their own. I only compete with myself on a daily. I strive to become better than I was yesterday. But there are a lot of people that would compete with a duck walking across the street. Again, society. So, me being me, and if I started asking hard questions back to those people, they probably wouldn't like it. Let's start with where you live. How deep in debt are you? What's your debt ratio? Okay, now let's talk about the job. Whose coattails did you ride to get that amazing job you have? That makes you so much better than us that don't ride coattails. We get our own jobs, not by who we know, are related to, didn't get the leg up, no help in any way. We simply got our own jobs on our own merit, our own skills, our own personality. So I have told those close to me that the next time this happens to me, and yes, it's disappointing to know, society is so focused on one-upping someone, somehow, some way, and even people they haven't seen in years. People like me that went through times being grateful for whatever way, those people impacted my life. And most without even realizing that they made such an impact. So again, the next time I get met with this energy by whomever, I will either just walk away or, depending on my mood and my sense of humor, I might just reciprocate it right back. Again, to teach a lesson in my own honorary way. People don't like when you flip the script on them. So I will conduct my own interview. I will ask my own questions. And they will most likely be, what's your debt ratio? What's your credit score? Who helped you get your job? Don't want the hard questions? Then don't start the game. When someone is genuinely happy to see you, consider that a gift from God. That person is so happy, so thrilled, lit up, all because they've seen you. It means you're important. You made a change in whatever way, whatever small way that maybe you didn't even realize. So drop the competition long enough to enjoy and embrace an old friend. Be who you were way back then, before jobs, cars, homes, clothes, jewelry, social status all came into play. God used you to help someone, and again, you didn't even know it. And one never knows if that person that's so excited to see you just might have waited 10, 20, 30 years to tell you thank you for whatever reason. Don't block your own blessings, because chances are, under that competitive mask of illusion that most wear, you might have needed to hear that gratitude. And it most likely came to you at a time you needed desperately to know somewhere, somehow, you were important, and you, in fact, made a difference in someone's life. Love and kindness and gratitude are all priceless, so please spend them all wisely. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday, listen in, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been